Hey guys, and welcome to 21 Omni 121's Dark World deck profile. Let's just go straight into it. So, for Dark World, you have your boss monster Grapha, your search your Snow, your draw card Brow, and your special summon Beige. I should probably put on the list other Dark World cards that you could have instead of these cards. You have Gold and you have Silver, which are the only other two good Dark World cards. So let's go into their effects. Grapha is your main card, okay? When it's discarded, so all of Dark World's effects activate when they're discarded, but not as a cost, by a card effect specifically. So Grapha's effect, when it's discarded, destroy one card on the field. When Snow is discarded, you get to search one Dark World card from your deck and add it to your hand. When Brow's discarded, you get to draw an extra card, or you get to draw a card for it being discarded. And when Beige is discarded, you can special summon it from the graveyard. So, Grapha also has a secondary effect, and it's got 2700 attack, which makes it pretty beastly, and with a field spell, that makes it 3000. But, apart from just destroying one card on the field, I should also mention that Dark Worlds also have a secondary effect when they're discarded by an opponent's card effect, but that is very rare. Only going to happen in mirror matches, or if they activate Morphing Jar, or summon that new Emperor Lord, the Water one, which forces you to discard 2 cards in your hand. But most of the time, you're only been activating your own discardation card effect, so I'm just going to go into those. I'm not going to go into their secondary ones. So, Grapha's secondary effect is that when it's in your graveyard and you have another Dark World monster on the field in face up, so face up attack or face up defense, you can return that Dark World monster to your hand to special summon it from the graveyard, and you can do this infinite number of times per turn, as long as you have enough resources on the field and resources in the graveyard. So it's very, very nice. It means that potentially, if you're simply top decking, if you have one other Dark World monster, you can't bounce back another Grapha on the field. But if you have another Dark World monster, so probably Snow or Brow, you can return that back to your hand and a special summon Grapha. And the next turn, if your Grapha gets destroyed, you can just summon it, keep on summoning it again and again. It allows you to recycle your cards while they're just wasting their materials. But remember that if Grapha gets banished, it can't be revived because it can only be activated from the graveyard. So Snow, as I said, searches any Dark World card, Brow just draws, and Beige. Beige is an interesting option. When it's discarded, you can special summon it. Gold has the same effect as does Silver, which both have 2300 attack and 1400 defense. Their secondary effects do differ, but that's not the main reason you run them. You run them mainly if you want to go for rank 5 Exceed monsters, which, though Dark Worlds can do, I don't recommend that. Exceed summoning is their priority on their list. Their priority is to summon Grapha as many times as possible. But if you want to go for that sort of option, you can also go for it. And it does have higher attack too. But the reason why I prefer Beige is because I can normal summon it. So if I'm ever top decking for any reason, which could be a possibility, you have to take these possibilities into account. I can summon I can summon Beige and then bounce it back for Grapha. Whereas for Gold and Silver, I wouldn't be able to summon straight from my hand. I have to have a discard out there and then their special summon. So it's either gain 700 attack or have that summoning ability. And I kind of prefer the summoning ability. Also, on the rare occasion that you want to Exceed summon into a rank 4, which I do have because Dark Worlds have plenty and plenty of extra deck space. You can even side in a couple of elemental heroes if you're having a problem with those, and a couple of super polymerizations, because Dark Worlds have lots and lots of space in the extra deck. The only cards I actually need are probably these 5 at most, and you don't even need those, but I'll go into that just a bit later. So there are other options. Malefic Stardust Dragon is a nice card. You could also go for the Malefic Cyber End Dragon, which will give you higher attack, and that's the blue eyes. Malefic Cyber End Dragon, which will give you higher attack. But the reason that you run Malefic Stardust Dragon is because once per turn, if a field spell card was to be destroyed, you can... Oh no, it's not even once per turn, it's just period. While Malefic Stardust Dragon is on the field, other field spell cards cannot be destroyed. So that's really nice. It allows you to protect your gates. And what most people do is that you activate gates, they'll wait for you to banish, since banishing is the cost. So they'll wait for you to banish and then they'll chain MST. So you still lose your cost, but if you activate gates, they don't do anything, and you summon Malefic Stardust Dragon, they can't chain the MST to its summon. That's not how it works. It's a continuous effect. So it protects your field spell, which is nice. Remember, though, that while it's on the field, you can't attack with any other monster. So there can only be one face-up Malefic, you only run once, that's not a problem. You can't attack with any other face-up monster, unless of course Skill Drain is on the field, which negates the Malefic effect. Another reason why I'm running the Malefic is because of Seal of Orichalcos. Seal of Orichalcos is a great card, I like it in this deck. It's the field spell, and you can just special summon this straight from your hand, as I did in one duel, and that's just a 3000 attack beta, which is pretty hard to get rid of, and that means they'll have to get rid of Orichalcos twice in order to get rid of it, which is not going to happen anytime soon. The only reason Orichalcos is going to get destroyed is if they activate a field spell over it, or you activate your own field spell over it. But Tour Guide is great. It's a fiend, so it puts the fiends in your graveyard for your gates, which you need to banish to activate its effect. And if worse comes to worse, you can even discard it with gates because it just says discard one fiend type. But the main reason is for Tour Guide, and it doesn't even matter that it's a 2. You will only probably ever run 2 because you can add Brow to, you can special summon Brow. So there are 2 great plays with Tour Guide. Summon Tour Guide, special summon Brow, bounce back Brow to your hand to special summon Grapha. But if you also have something banished from either Gates or Allure of Darkness, you can special summon Tour Guide, or normal summon Tour Guide, special summon Brow or another Tour Guide, overlay for Levier, Levier's effect detach, special summon the Dark Worlds you remove from play, and then you can bounce that back to your hand and then special summon Grapha. So you go so plus off that. You use 1 card and you've got 2 cards on the field and still got 1 card in your hand. So it's effectively a +2 with Tour Guide, which is pretty impressive, I think. Great card, and it also allows you to go into defense if you ever need that sort of defense. It gives you that 3000 beta just in case you can't get that Grapha out onto the field, or that 2500 beta if you want to detach or something like that. Just gives you options. Allure of Darkness, good card if you have a dead Beige in your hand, if you have a dead Malefic in your hand, or if you just want to get something banished so you can bring it back with Levier. It's a great card, it allows you to dig through your deck, and Dark Worlds, you need to get to your combo pieces, otherwise you may lose, because sometimes you just have loads of discard outlets and nothing else, and you're not going to be able to do anything with that. Card Destruction, one of the most broken cards in Dark World. If you have a hand of 5 Dark World monsters, you're on +5 almost instantaneously. It's a great card, and since it's not by a cost, all your Dark World's effects activate. It also disrupts your opponent's cards later in the game, since they're probably going to try and collect their resources. You can just discard all of them to the graveyard. Of course, that only works on better players, but it's still great. Dark Hole, because it's Dark Hole, sometimes you don't have that field presence, you need to go for a Dark Hole. Dark World Dealings, the standard discard card, draw 1 card, then each player discards 1 card. So your Dark World's effect activates. However, you don't discard a Dark World monster, Dark World monster, you're going to go -1, because you effectively lost 1 card. I remember it also allows your opponent to recycle through their deck, which isn't the greatest things most of the time, because they know what they need to discard against Dark World. Drag Down, great card. Only running 2, I think 3 might be a bit too cloggy, but Drag Down is basically Dark World Dealings on steroids. Dark World Drag Down to the grave. The way you play it is you set all your cards, hopefully with protection of Starlight Road or something like that, and then you leave only Dark World cards in your hand, activate Drag Down. Each player reveals their entire hand, they discard 1 card from their hand, and then draw 1 card. But you get to choose, so they might have if your first turn is amazing, they have all their combo pieces. Oh, you have a Monster Reborn, I'll get rid of that. And then all they have for you is to discard a Dark World monster, so that's fine with you. You get to activate that Dark World monster effect. It allows you to see what your opponent is doing, what kind of things they're planning to do. So it's great. I have the third one side, though you could also side, for example, in Dark World's Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar is great. Both players discard all cards in your hand, so all your Dark World's effects activates, and then you get to draw 5 cards. It's good, but it's a bit inconsistent, and it also allows your opponent to recycle their hand as well, which again is a problem with Dark Worlds. It has a lot of opponent recycling their hands because you're forcing them to discard lots of cards. Anyway, Heavy Storm, a staple in most decks. I'm also running triple MST sided, so just in case there's any heavy decks such as a Countdown deck, which Dark Worlds haven't got the greatest matchup against, and Exodia decks and things like that. So you have triple Royal Decree, triple MST, and Heavy Storm, and in case it's any kind of lockdown deck, you have those options. You also have Eradicating Epidemic Device, but I'll go into that a bit later. Monster Reborn. The way you play Monster Reborn in this deck is that you special summon one of the lower level Dark World, and then bounce them back for Grapha. So you get 3,000, and then you get another monster card in your hand, which you can then discard later on. So basically, a Monster Reborn becomes a +1. A Monster Reborn is already immense on its own. With a +1, it's amazing. Then, Gates, the main field spell you're going to be using. So all field monsters gain 300 attack once per turn, discard one, banish one as the cost, banish one feed as a cost, and then discard one feed monster from your hand to the graveyard. So, it's great. It allows your Dark World monsters to activate their effects, and effectively every turn it's a +1, since you're discarding and then gets to draw a card, and then most of the time you're going to be either drawing another card with Prowl or adding another card with Snow. It's a +1 every turn. Then the Seal of Orichalcos might be a bit of controversial. Probably wouldn't recommend it. It's not bad, but sometimes it's pretty good. It's you're not its deep bad sides are all monsters that you currently control that were special summoned are destroyed. So you don't activate it when you special summon something. It prevents you from summoning anything from your extra deck. The only cards that you're going to be going from your extra decks are Levier from Tour Guide or Stardust Dragon from Starlight Roads. Very unlikely that that secondary effect is going to be too bad, but the good plus is that all monsters gain 500 attack, and it can't be destroyed once per turn, which is very nice. It keeps its presence on the field for a pretty decent amount of time. It takes them quite a long time to get rid of it, and it's nice. You might not want to keep it, but it also allows me to have terraforming in my deck, which will have 4 targets. Now, I don't think it would be worth it to have with just 3 targets. Terraforming allows you to thin your deck by 1 card if you need to, so thinning your deck is good, and it allows you to add your precious field spells if you can't draw them too quickly. Then, triple Upstart Golden, because you need that speed, and giving them 3,000 attack is just 1 extra turn, potentially, and it could buy you so much advantage. It's a great card, because it basically is just thinning your deck, and thinning your deck is a great thing in Dark Worlds. Then you have Deck Devastation Virus. If you don't know what it does, tribute 1 dark monster with 2,000 or more attack. Check all your opponent's hands, all monsters they control, and all cards they draw until the 3rd turn after this card's activation, and destroy all those monsters with 1,500 attack or less. That's immense. If you don't remember, Crush Card Virus is the opposite effect, but this is also immense. With all these small monsters running around, wind-ups get destroyed by them, Insectors get destroyed by them, the new gadget Gigas get destroyed by them. There's so many decks that get destroyed by them, and plants can't do anything against it. It's very, very good. And the equivalent, but for spells or traps, you choose which one, is Eradicating Epidemic Virus, which is also a very nice card. And if you're running against a countdown deck or something like that, you can often side these cards in. I remember Grapha isn't your only target for Deck Devastating Virus. There is also Snow when it's in the presence of a Gate, which is also nice, and also the Malefic Stardust Dragon too. 1 Mind Crush, because I'm running 2 Drag Down. I'm going to be seeing the hand quite frequently, so I don't know, you could not put it in, but sometimes it's good if they're activating Duality, they activate Sangan, you have that option to go for them. Then Triple Reckless, again, allows you to go through your deck. 2 duels ago, I think, I activated Triple Reckless Greed. That gives me +6. I only lose 2 cards from doing it, or I go +3 and then only use 2 cards. So it allows you to go through your deck a lot faster than you would previously do, and it's a good chainable, so they activate MST, you chain Reckless Greed to it. It's great. 1 Skill Drain, I don't think Skill Drain is that essential, but it's good against a lot of decks, and you're going to be drawing into it quite frequently, so I think once is sufficient enough. Solemn Judgment, because sometimes you just need that extra negation. Starlight Road, because often you're going to be setting a lot of your cards, because you're going to be activating drag downs, and it protects your field spells, and things like that. And Torrential, just because I needed another kind of filler card that was sort of protection. You could also go for Dimensional Prison or Mirror Force, or Compulsory Evacuation Device. They're all decent options. I'd probably go for Dimensional Prison if there wasn't a Torrential already in here. And then for the extra deck, again, as I said, you just need a Stardust Dragon for your Starlight Road, and that's it. And and one more, and a Stardust Dragon for your Malefic Stardust Dragon, so you can banish it. Other than that, you're not going to be going into many of these XCs. I already explained these 4. You're very, very rarely going to go into any rank 4s. The only reason you would ever is, say for example, you Monster Reborn there, Utopia, you overlay with Utopia Ray. That's almost the only example I can think of. There are probably better options than overlaying 2 Snow, for example, for a Utopia or Maestro. Though it is a Fiend, remember, so it's can have its uses. It does gain that 300 attack. And then the rest are just standard synchros that you're very rarely going to go for. Only if you special summon opponent's tuner monster with Monster Reborn. I was thinking other side cards you could have is Call of the Haunted. Is a pretty good card to have. I probably spelled it wrong. Call of the Haunted. It's nice because it's chainable, but if you were running that, I'd probably run a Sangan as well, because it makes it so you chain Call of the Haunted, activate Sangan's effect, or special summon Sangan, it gets destroyed, activate Sangan's effect. But what Call allows you to do is basically do your Monster Reborn combo, but with Call of the Haunted. You special summon another Brow, and then bounce it back for a Grapha. You get a +1 off a Call of the Haunted, and get a Grapha on the field. It's okay. I'd prefer it in a Light Swarm build. If you're milling all your cards, sending them all to your graveyard, and then Call of the Haunted them back. But that's for another day. So I hope you understand how Dark Worlds work now, or how my Dark Worlds work at least. 21 on 121, signing out.